I'm Barry Funkhauser, and this is the Barry Funkhauser Show. It's hump day. Here's what's going on. Well, there's another tech CEO charged in a $175 million fraud situation. The Batmobile raid saga comes to a stunning conclusion in San Mateo, and the LA Metro sees reduction in crime amid classical music pilot program. As always, I'm here with my co-host and general know-it-all current events guy, Joe. Hey, Joe, celebrating a very glorious sunny day and the rest of the week. I'm so happy to have dirt underneath my fingernails again.
Oh, nice. Are you getting out there? How's the garden looking now that the rains have passed and things are starting to dry out? I still have my mud, by the way. It still hasn't dried out yet.
Yesterday we went to the farm and we checked on the bees, and they're the ones we could get to. And
you finally hooked up with Dwayne?
Yes, sir, Bob.
Oh, nice. So so how's Dwayne first?
Everybody's good.
Man?
Everybody's happy.
Great.
Everybody.
How are the bees?
Well, the ones we saw look like they're doing okay. We couldn't get that close to them because it's still pretty cold out, not warm enough to open up the lid. But the fun thing about
if you were to open up the lid right now, would the bees think that you were trying to attack the queen because it's still so cold out?
Yeah.
How does that work?
You know what the sound of a bunch of bees makes? Can you picture it in your head? Bzzz, you know? Yeah. So when you open up the lid, that goes up in tone. It goes bzzz.
Oh, it goes like what? So they go, hey, what are you doing here? Close that lid. It's cold.
Actually, you know what? I got that backwards because that happens in the summertime.
Oh, okay.
I can't remember how it works, but the tone
changes.
Because they're trying to keep the queen and the eggs at a certain temperature, so they fan a different way when you open it up, and then they immediately
the vibration and the friction creates heat, huh?
That's right. Yeah,
and
that's why they ball really up in nature.
Man, bees are crazy. They're really interesting.
Yeah, Monday we're gonna go check on some wild ones up in Newbury Park. So that's
wild bees, like who have made like a hive in an old stump or something.
Kind of, sort of. Some that we caught, they were swarms throughout the year. You know, somebody calls and says, "I got this swarm in my garage." And then we go over there and swoop them up, put them in a box, a bee box, and then put them in this certain location that's miles from humans.
Because okay.
We don't know the genetics of these bees. And most of the time, they're pretty aggressive. Mm-hmm. But every bee makes honey, so we have a yard that's just filled with angry bees.
But that's not true. Not every bee makes honey.
All honeybees make honey.
Honeybees make honey, but but there are like 500 different varieties of bees. Like, how many bees are there? There's lots.
Yeah, there's like carpenter bees that I just can't get my head around because they just drill holes or something. I don't get it. But the most fun thing, Joe, out on the farm is, everything has been harvested. Everything has been. What are you looking at there?
Oh, I'm sorry. You keep that thought because I was Googling, and Google's crazy. You get like crazy facts and stuff. There are over 20,000 known bee species in the world, and 4,000 of those are native to the United States. That's nuts. But there are only like 4 honeybees.
Well, the thing is, the key word is known. There's so many that are unknown.
Okay.
A lot of times these bees, their genetics change throughout the years because they have a 30 to 45 day lifespan. So 12, about 10 times a year, their genetics change. So that's a lot more frequent than you would think.
Man, that's nuts. I had no idea. You are schooling me on bees today, man.
Well, the most fun part about being at the farm after the rain and after the harvest, they have miles and miles of artichokes right now. And they've already been harvested. So the next step for them farmers to do is to come through and grind it all up and turn it into compost, like topsoil. They're going to grind up the plant because in theory it's over. The growing season for artichoke has ended. However, that sucker's still growing, and there's still plenty of artichokes to be had. So a little.
I'm wondering if you let it grow more past the growing, like if the flavor of it is going to change, maybe it becomes more bitter or something.
No, it turns into a flower, big purple flower.
A big purple flower. Wow, man, you are blowing my freaking mind today, man.
Yeah, so during
Why
that
are we
process,
eating these artichokes and not just having gorgeous purple flowers everywhere?
because they're yummy, man. They come from the brassica family that's also broccoli and cauliflower, so it's all in the same. It all started with the same genetics and split off. We're talking about genetics.
Oh my goodness. I am looking at a artichoke flower. I am going to get an artichoke just to grow it to get this flower. That looks gorgeous.
Yeah, it's out of this
Oh my
world, isn't it?
goodness.
Yeah. Yeah,
Wow, I'm looking at
of
this.
eating that first, you know what I mean?
I'm
Like,
looking at this French artichoke and it's purpley and it's like a big fuzzball of awesome. Wow.
Yeah, the bees love that
I want to do that. Can I you said it's past growing season though? I couldn't just like pop one off, put it in a pot, and bring it home, and
you could, but they
can't
like more cold. They like more cold and a lot of sun, so it's a
I just
little
want a
past
big
growing.
awesome. I just want a
Dump
big
it in
awesome
November.
purple flower.
Dump it in November. It takes a long time to grow.
All right. Well, try to
Large.
remind me around October then.
Oh, I will for sure, dude. But it's a large plant. You need like a big old. It's a big guy. It's a big mother.
Ooh. But here's something that I just checked out. Can you eat a bloomed artichoke?
Can you? I don't know.
No. Artichoke flowers are not edible, and once they've started to bloom, the entire thing becomes inedible. Wow.
Interesting, huh?
So crazy. Wow. Like I said, you're blowing my mind today. Blowing my mind.
Growing your own
Let's get back
food,
to-
man.
I
Along
know.
the way, you learn stuff.
Let's get back to something that, I know more about.
Well, wait, before you go,
Technical
but the most fun is
What?
right now. We went out to the farm, and because it's already been harvested and the growing season is a little over past, that doesn't mean there's not plenty of artichokes there. So we went through it with our boots and got a whole basket full of artichokes with approval from the guy. It's like that's what we can do as beekeepers is after they come through and harvest the land, we go in there and pick up the scraps. So,
That is awesome.
yeah, man.
Wow. That's fantastic. I love this.
We picked up a big old bushel of them and dropped them off at a school, an elementary school nearby. Man, the rewards you get in the garden world are amazing, man. So you got to come out here, plant yourself a seed.
I'm gonna do it.
All right, let's get into the news today. Investigators said the founder of the financial aid nonprofit, Frank, used inflated user data to convince JP Morgan to acquire the company. Now, check out this story, man. Here comes some drama.
This morning, Charlie Javis, founder of the financial and nonprofit Frank, could be facing up to 100 years in prison accused of defrauding JP Morgan Chase out of millions.
Frank kind of represented that as a name because it just meant honest.
Federal investigators allege Frank was a fraud. They say 31-year-old Javis, who made the prestigious Forbes magazine 30 under 30 list, didn't scam students, but scammed the bank by falsely and dramatically inflating the number of customers of her company, claiming 4.25 million customers or users when the real number was under 300,000. They say the made-up figures allowed Javis to fraudulently induce JP Morgan Chase to acquire Frank for $175 million, allegedly earning Javis a $45 million payday.
These are very serious charges. If you read the government's charges and you read the government statement, they basically say she's a con artist.
Frank was designed to help prospective students sign up for financial aid faster and easier using an online platform.
When it comes to transparency, it's oftentimes really challenging to get to see things in real time.
Javis allegedly went to a third-party vendor to falsify her user data needed for the JP Morgan buyout.
They were conned, and they bought the con, and then realized after that she doesn't have what she claimed she had.
Javis previously defended her data and denies the charges. Javis.
Yeah, so she faces several counts of bank and wire fraud and securities fraud, but a
Jail.
Judge Frieder on $2 million bond with restricted travel. So
Jail.
yeah, this will continue. You remember that other girl, the Theranos lady that spawned all those documentaries, and she
Theranos.
her voice.
Yes, Theranos. It's Elizabeth something. Elizabeth something.
Elizabeth Holmes, yeah. And then at the 11th hour, she's like, "Oh no, I was taken advantage of by this guy, my CFO that I had a relationship with, and he was taking advantage of me and used me," and tried to throw him under the bus. That was an amazing story. And I thought back then, she's not the only one. Anytime a crime comes out that's like, who knew? People knew and people copied it. I'm sure.
All I know is that, for whatever reason, for whatever reason, people get money and then think that the rules don't apply to them anymore. Like, they could break rules, they can commit fraud because I got money, I'll just hire lawyers and lawyers will take care of it. It is awful. That is not a good look for anybody in our country as a person. Not a good look. Come on, man. Have some moral fortitude, people.
Well, have you ever inflated data?
Right. No, I have never inflated. No,
who does that?
No.
I know a couple.
I use the Scotty corollary, and that is it.
What is that?
I tell people it's going to take a little bit longer than I know it actually is going to take. I build myself in a cushion. And then if I come in under time, it makes me look awesome. If I need a little bit of extra time to get the job done, I've already built in my cushion. And so I still look awesome because I got my job done on time. The Scotty corollary.
Corollary. Oh,
it's right there. They spelled it for you.
I see. So it's from Star Trek, huh?
Yeah. Well, we'll ask Chase about it.
That's kind of fun.
He knows the Scotty corollary.
I'm with that too. It's like you always tell them it's a little longer to give yourself enough time to do it.
Right. But I don't inflate data. I don't try to make myself look good for the sake of looking good, because it puts whatever company I'm working with or for in a really, really bad spot. And the instant you start doing that, you have to continue to lie and build on the lie because you've already given them false data. And unless that data somehow miraculously shakes out in a month and goes your way, you got to keep lying to them about the data. Or you got to come clean and be like, "Oh yeah, I got the data wrong." Both are bad things to do. Just in business or in life, don't lie to people. Just be straight.
It's very interesting being in the podcast world, Joe, like myself and yourself also. I've been in it since its inception, and I've seen a lot of companies come and go and a lot of people come and go, and it's very interesting that it's happened so much in the podcast world where data is inflated. People lie about how many listeners they get in order to get an advertisement, and then when all push comes to shove at the end of it, they are nowhere near what they said they would get, and they can't prove their listenership. And what's funny is you can I can, because I'm an expert at podcasting, but you can smell it from a mile away when it's happening. A lot of these things, I'm sure people that work on cars have the same kind of, any profession, you can kind of spot when they're being nefarious.
Mm-hmm. All I know is that you shouldn't lie. You're not going to do yourself any favor. Someone's always going to find out. Always going to find out. Especially now. There's too many data points. Everything is just way too interconnected. You can find the information that you need. It's really, really hard to do things in such a way that no one's ever going to find out. Not today. Not if you're using the internet. Not if you're using digital devices, things like someone's gonna find out.
Back in the old days, Joe, back
Oh.
in the old days, we used to be able to keep a secret. They said if you have something that you want to keep a secret, tell nobody, just yourself. But now you can't even do that because Google will get you in trouble.
Exactly. So yeah, it's really hard. Like back in the day when they could fudge paper receipts and like, stuff like that. That's fine. Now we have like digital ledgers that are almost impossible. Like, sure, you can hack some stuff, but to get to the level of being a hacker where you could break into stuff like that,
I love that's your idea. Sure, you can
it's like
hack
one.
stuff
It's like
that's easy.
0.0001% of humanity can do that. So,
Oh my gosh.
I mean, it's possible, but it's not probable. That's what I'm saying. So how about we just not lie and then just like be straight with people? It just makes life so much easier. You don't have to remember the lies. You don't get busted and thrown in jail for fraud. Let's just like stop trying to get over on everybody and just like live a good, clean, honest life.
Sounds good to me. Easier said than done, Joe. There's a lot of people in this world. Okay. Well, anyway, more news today. The Batmobile raid saga comes to a stunning conclusion as San Mateo County releases confidential reports. The raid by San Mateo County Sheriff investigators at an Indiana garage that builds Batmobiles, they say it should have never happened. Listen to this story, dude.
The San Mateo County attorney seemed to downplay the findings of the independent investigation performed by retired Alameda Superior Court Judge Winifred Smith.
Can you outline in the report what went wrong?
It's not, I guess I'm not trying to be cagey, but it's not eminently clear to me that anything went wrong per se.
But a thorough read of the 47 pages confirms my reporting and reveals new details. Wealthy Atherton realtor Sam Ignacio called his friend, former Sheriff Carlos Bolanos, complaining that he hadn't received the $210,000 replica Batmobile he ordered from Fiberglass Freaks in Logansport, Indiana. The report says the sheriff took Ignacio's call because he is acquainted with him. Ignacio is a local business person and a friend of the sheriff's brother. The sheriff referred the case to the head of his vehicle theft task force, even though this case did not fall within its mission. The head of the task force spent 6 months investigating and then took a crew of 4 department personnel to raid the Batmobile garage in Indiana.
He never bothered to call you before showing up at your garage.
Or having somebody else contact me. Either way, yes.
So they never got your side of this.
Right.
The report also points out before calling the sheriff, Ignacio tried to sue Mark Rakup, but the judge dismissed it, saying Indiana courts were the proper venue. Judge Smith says the DA's office has a policy that complainants like Ignacio who choose to resolve their disputes in civil court cannot avail themselves of the criminal justice system. The raid and the fraud charges against Rakup, which were dropped after my reports, should never have happened.
Public trust in policing and public safety requires the sheriff's office never be perceived in its use of police power to be influenced by private or political relationship.
Rakup told me today the ordeal cost his business $350,000, he estimates, and it has taken a personal toll. He's going in for a mental health evaluation for PTSD.
Because of this, if I see a sheriff's car go past, I freak. Even just for a moment, it might only be 30 seconds or maybe even 15 seconds, but that's not me.
In the meantime, he's making good progress on other Batmobiles. Ed Ignacio's is now 3.5 years away from completion.
I cannot believe that it's taking sometimes up to a year to get a chassis, and it's taking 6 months to get a drivetrain. It's really crazy.
So
it adds up to So it adds up to a bunch of stuff here, man. So listen to this. It's 6 months of an investigation, more than $10,000 to travel to Indiana for the raid, $55,000 to pay for the judge for the report. And man, it's just like the lady said, the investigator said, ensuring the appropriate expenditure of public funds should always be of the highest priority. So, man, I mean, this is so sad for the dude that makes those Batmobiles, man, because imagine being traumatized by 2 states, 2 big, giant legal departments coming at you over something that should have never happened in the first place.
Now this is actually an example of law enforcement overreach. They were way out of bounds, man. Way out of bounds on this one.
And it's so sad because, I mean, I guess, did it come from a theft? I wasn't really quite paying attention to the saga, but I remember it coming up a while ago where the Batmobile was like stolen and should have been somewhere else, but I guess
what I think is happening is the fact that this jackass in San Mateo was unhappy that it was taking so long to get the Batmobile that he ordered due to supply chain issues. At the end of the argument, the guy who builds the Batmobiles was saying it was taking up to a year to get a chassis.
Right.
It was taking like 18 months to get a drivetrain.
Well, I assume it's pretty hard to find Batmobile parts. You got to special custom make them.
They're remaking a 1960s engine. How do you can't no one makes those parts anymore. You can't just like call up your machinist and be like, "Oh, hey man, I need a carburetor for a 1966 Chevy Malibu," because I think that's what this is based on. I think it's based on a Chevy Malibu.
I think so too.
So it's like,
or a Pontiac. It might have been a Pontiac.
Something like that. Something that is no longer made.
Hard to find.
Something that you probably you either have to spend hundreds of thousands of dollars to get someone to redo the entire specs, or try to find someone who remakes them or reconditions them. It's like there's only a finite amount of those things left that are usable. So for this guy in San Mateo to just get all pissed off, if it was taking too much time, just ask the dude for a refund. Don't say that he stole your car. Don't try to take him to court. If you have no patience to get a custom job made, don't get a custom job. Don't pay for it. This guy, I hope that this guy who makes the Batmobiles can countersue this jackass in San Mateo and get all of his fees paid. I like that. This guy should not be in the whole $300,000 because someone doesn't have patience. That's bullshit.
Yeah, I hope he has the siesta that he needs, because he needs some time off. He says he needs some mental health reevaluations here over what just happened. But
because he got effed. He got screwed, and I don't like that. I don't like when the little guy gets screwed just trying to do his job. That's just
seems
not
like
right.
A job for Batman.
It does seem like a job for Batman. Now, which Batman though? Which Batman?
Probably
the Christian Bale Batman.
Oh,
the George Clooney Batman.
Original.
The Robert Pattinson Batman.
No, I'm going back to the original.
Back to the original. You're going back to the Adam West Batman. You know what? I'm going to take Michael Keaton's Batman.
Adam is the most level-headed of them all. He could work something out here that doesn't involve the police.
But as a human being, Adam West was kind of a jerk.
Oh, well, I don't know anything about that.
He was not the nicest person in the world.
Don't destroy my vision of Adam West.
Stop. I'm just trying to take the nicest Batman. I think the nicest Batman is probably either Michael Keaton or George Clooney. Those are the two nicest Batman, I think, in my opinion. And probably Michael Keaton, because come on, it's Michael Keaton.
Yeah. I mean, but is he nice as Bruce Wayne also? Both of them?
Yeah. They were like the less standoffish Bruce Waynes. They weren't like Adam West, who was like, that was campy Batman. That's like a different Batman. But as far as like, they weren't like the gruff, standoffish Bruce Wayne of the Robert Pattinson or Christian Bale. And I'm not even including Ben Affleck, because
did Adam West ever have a Bruce Wayne? Was he ever a normal person in the series?
Did you never watch the old Batman?
I'm trying to remember. No, I don't think.
No, he was Bruce Wayne. He would talk. There's this. Okay, you gotta look up this clip. There's this great clip where the commissioner calls Adam West, calls Bruce Wayne, and then he's like, you know what? I'm gonna this is a big problem. I'm gonna get Batman on the other line. And Bruce is like, oh, okay. And so then the bat phone rings, And so in one ear, he's talking to the commissioner as Bruce. In the other ear, he's talking to the commissioner as Batman. And then he's talking to himself as Bruce and Batman on the phones. Man, you got to find that clip. It's brilliant.
Oh, that's so funny.
But yes, Adam West did play Bruce Wayne. The guy who played Robin was Dick Grayson. You know, and they were like normal people, and you saw them in the mansion. The great thing about the mansion was whenever they were in the like Bruce Wayne's office, you know, how they got back down to the Batcave is Bruce would turn around and pull on a statue. Part of the bookcase would slide open, and there was a fireman's pole that went down to the Batcave. Yeah. They would slide down the pole. They would start in normal clothes, and then they would slide all the way down the pole and somehow miraculously get into the Batcave and be in their costumes.
It's Bat magic, man.
It was fantastic.
Come on, Joe. It's Bat magic.
Fantastic stuff.
All right, more news. And this one, I don't know whether to laugh or be mad, Joe. LA Metro, I know, man, this is going to be a weird one. LA Metro sees a reduction in crime amid classical music pilot program, this thing that they've been doing. New statistics show that the music that they've been blasting, as well as extra lighting and patrols, has seemingly worked to curb crime. According to LA Metro, calls for help have dropped by 75%, and crime has dropped by 20%. Here's more. Listen.
These are the sounds we know at train stations all over the metro. But listen closely as you descend the stairs to the platform at MacArthur Park.
Not Mozart, though. This is Chopin.
Regular riders like Charlie German have noticed the classical tunes that are now a staple at this station, and some enjoy the noise, or at least prefer it.
I've lived in L.A. my whole life, and I'm 55 years old, so it's nice to hear music as opposed to, like I said earlier, crazy people acting crazy.
The music is part of many changes to this station to discourage loitering and criminal activity.
It is what it is. I'm just here quick, you know, get on my train and that's it.
Metro says violent crimes on its trains soared 24% since 2021. That's rape, aggravated assault, robbery, and murder. And drug activity is hard to miss. This year alone, 22 people have died on Metro trains, mostly from suspected overdoses.
It's bad. I mean, look, you can see everywhere. It's people doing whatever they want, cops walking around.
But now new numbers show the music, as well as extra lighting and patrols, is working to curb crime. Metro says it's seen a 75% reduction in calls and a 20% drop in crime. But an LA Times investigation says the music is blaring at an average of 83 decibels, a level the CDC considers unhealthy. But when we were there, it almost sounded nice.
It's usually louder, yeah. This is pleasant today. Listen to it.
I just noticed it a couple weeks ago. So, yeah, but today it's not as loud as normal.
How much louder is it usually than this?
Yesterday was really, really loud. I mean, really loud. Maybe, you know, maybe somebody just hit the volume and didn't mean to hit the volume. I love it. But then again, I also worked for Slayer for 20 years.
And although Metro couldn't confirm they turned it down, the agency says it has been listening to feedback and making adjustments, but insists they're not doing anything here that isn't done elsewhere, as they hope riders remember they're just doing what they can to try and keep things moving and keep everyone safe. One more thing Metro did was close all the entrances and exits except for one, this one here on the plaza. They say there is just simply safety in numbers. Joy Benedict, KCAL News.
So I have some, I don't know, I have some thoughts. I don't know whether to laugh.
Oh man, I got lots of thoughts. This was a great interview. This Charlie guy who worked with Slayer is fantastic.
My favorite little bystander.
Man. Like, I did not see that one coming. Like, oh, but for 20 years, I love classical.
I love that they
kept. I worked with Slayer. I was like, what?
Yeah, dude, and they kept it in. Like, they kept it in the news report because a lot of stuff. He's like, I worked with Slayer for 20 years. This is fun.
Brilliant.
But it opened with him going, "This is Chopin." Like, he knows all.
Yeah, this isn't Mozart. This is Chopin. Oh man, it's just great. it's funny to me how people who want to commit violent crimes and homeless people hate classical music. Just hate it. Will do anything in the world to get away from listening to classical music. Like, oh man. But like one reason like they do this so the homeless people won't sleep in the stations.
Right.
It's hard to sleep when it's like really bright and there's always music playing. But we also can't have homeless people sleeping in metro stations.
Well, it's a creative idea to move people, that don't want.
But it's not new. People have been doing this all over the world for
let me
years.
ask you, Joe. What is? Oh, really? They've been playing loud music.
Oh yeah. Like downtown areas. I remember reading a story years ago about Miami. Miami was having trouble in like South Beach. South Beach is like the big party area of Miami. Well, they had a homeless issue. So what did they do? It's a dick move. It totally is. But it's super, super effective. Starting at 2 a.m., all the bars would close. They just started piping classical music all the way down South Beach.
Yeah.
And homeless people can't sleep. You can't sleep when there's just constantly music playing. So they all moved. So it's effective, but like I said, it's kind of a dick move because you're not fixing the homeless problem. You're just shuffling people along so they go to a different community.
Okay. Well, compared to so there's two things, and I can't figure out which one is more like sad and dehumanizing. Okay. The first
a lot of things in life are sad and dehumanizing.
But like for people on the street, people that can't.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, it's hard. I get it.
I talk about deterrence. Like if a city is like not in my backyard, move it along. There's two things, and I can't figure out which one is, I don't know, more effective, more like dehumanizing. It's the one we just talked about, the blasting classical music at 82% decibel. That's loud, man.
At 82 decibels. Yeah, that's way too loud. Like, get me at 60, and I think we're going to be...
Or the bus, like every place that you want to like lay down, like on a bench or something, there's like spikes or like bars.
Yeah, that one...
I don't like that one.
I don't like that one. I don't like that one. Well, for a couple reasons. It's not aesthetically pleasing, and sure, that's not like the biggest issue in the world, but who wants to live in a city with spikes? Yeah, it's the same thing. Like it's the same. Like who wants to live in a city that has to be
like bars on the windows?
Yeah, bars on the windows, or guys with like military police on every corner with rifles and AK-47s and AR-15s. It's not. That's Europe. That's literally, you go to Paris and that's Paris.
Parts of North Carolina.
There are armed patrols on literally every street in every
bit of Atlanta, a little bit of Georgia, probably too. Some Texas.
Right? Yeah, stuff like that. Like, no, I don't want to live in an area like that. So we got to figure out instead of for too long, I think cities have been just dealing with they haven't been looking at the root cause. They've just been trying to deal with the God, what's the word I'm looking for?
I disagree, Joe. I think they've gotten. I'm on board with the Karen, and I think
on board with the Karen.
Yeah, I think she's got it. I think this stuff that we're hearing is like, like the trash truck came through and took up the garbage, and then there's people sweeping up after. I think this is all the stuff that's carrying the weight of the leftover.
Sure, but it's still it's just the symptoms. You're not addressing like the root cause. Like, we wouldn't have these symptoms if we didn't have so many homeless people. We wouldn't have these symptoms if income inequality wasn't so great and you had like a bunch of unemployed people who need to steal to live. So,
well, I got one gripe with this whole thing. Like
that it's classical music and not ska?
Yeah, you took the words right out of my mouth, Joe, like word for word. Why isn't it not something fun?
Oh, because then people would just be like they'd be in the metros just skanking all night long.
Same idea on that. Why is it classical? Why isn't it ska punk? Like,
You
come
know
on,
why it's
man.
classical? It's classical because literally people hate classical music.
Or what if it's I Love LA on loop? Da-na-na,
Oh wow, that okay. You know, okay,
da-na-na-na-na-na.
that's funny. Where was it? People have been doing stuff like that forever. The U.S. military, I want to say, was doing that. And they were playing, and it was like other militaries doing this. They would decide someone's holed up. They're like terrorists have someone holed up in there and whatever. So they decided to play like, Call Me Maybe or like some like Party in the USA, and they just put it on like 100 decibels. They turned it up to 11, and they put it on repeat, and it just like blared all night long to the point where they just like they surrendered because they couldn't take it anymore.
Yeah, that stuff must work. You know?
It does work. Psychological warfare works. That's why people use it.
All right, Joe. Well, that's it for today. Let's meet at the LA Metro for some Tchaikovsky.
No thanks.
We'll be back tomorrow.